Hi, hello. I'm Saujanya from Ant Consulting. This is the launch of our Next Gen Visionaries podcast. Through this podcast, we intend to capture journeys and insights of visionaries shaping the future of India business. Here is our first guest, Mr. Gautam Reddy, founder and CEO of HotCult, a creative house through which he is changing the way brands connect with South India. Welcome, Gautam. Thank you so much for being our first guest.
Hi, Saujanya. Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure interacting with you guys over at And Consulting. Every time I've engaged, it's been a great learning experience for me. So
Yeah.
I'm more than happy to be doing this with you, and I hope we stir up some interesting insights over the
Yeah,
chat.
yeah. Though I know you for much longer, going through your profile from the intent of doing this podcast was very revealing to me. So I found that you had three major pivots in your life. Very interestingly, we both share our alma mater, Osmania University. You have done your electronics and then made the pivot to advertising. I didn't know this about you at all. And how did that happen? Why did you intend to do that switch?
Yeah. Just a small correction. Alma mater is Mufakam Jah College of Engineering and Technology, which is affiliated to Osmania
Osmania
University.
University.
But yeah,
Yeah.
the larger question I'm assuming is why did you switch from
Yeah.
a career choices from engineering to advertising? So,
Right.
to be honest with you, I think engineering is just rite of passage for South Indians. Life starts after engineering.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
yeah, and also I think it's become such a society, especially for me. In my case, I can say it wasn't the diktat, it wasn't the family diktat. It had more to do with everyone who's smart around me is doing science.
Yeah.
So how can I be doing arts and commerce, right? Or philosophy or anything else, right? So I just naturally gravitated towards doing engineering, number one. Number two, also it helped that by that time I was already professionally playing sport. So sports quota and all helped, and I got into a college like few minutes away from my house, which allowed me to have time to train and do everything. And the college was pretty lenient. Osmania University is quite lenient with cricket. So they would allow me to have my hall ticket on time, etc. So there are a lot of permutations and combinations as to why I ended up doing engineering. It's not a straight answer. So
Okay.
yeah, but yeah, I mean, the second part
The
of your
why
question,
advertising?
yeah, that is easier to answer because I think I've been bred, pretty much homebred in this domain. I think Hyderabad wasn't a metro in the 80s and 90s and early 2000s. There were four major metros, and Bangalore was emerging. But I
Right.
think the Telangana situation helped Bangalore move fast, right? Between 2009 to
Yeah.
14, where Hyderabad didn't move at all. So I grew up in a house which had an advertising agency, a recording studio, a music studio, an edit room. So I grew up in a house itself where one small part of the house was domestic, and the rest of it was all media and advertising, right? Media production and advertising. So the entire building was only full of people walking in and walking out. So life was pretty easy for me when it came to advertising because one, my father used to run these businesses, and my dinner table conversation every day was either how many runs did I make on the field, or what was the great line that he wrote that day and what campaign is he rolling out that day. So that's why I said I'm homebred on day over dinner table conversations, to sort of uh, not only stoked a passion for this industry, but more importantly, you know what you know, right? And you can always evolve with how things are changing out there in the landscape. So
Yeah.
these were primarily the reasons why I did engineering and then got into advertising. So I think that sort of answers your questions.
I think both
Yeah.
nurture and nature both played a big role in shaping you as an advertiser, a natural advertiser at it.
Absolutely. I think it's a combination of both. You're bang on.
Yeah. Superb. So, I mean, you've actually peaked into advertising quite quick in your career, right? You've been at JWT, you've been at Ogilvy. These are like the motherships of advertising. And then you made this big switch of coming and starting over Pad. So, what made you take that entrepreneurial bug's bite?
So to be honest with you, always wanted to be an entrepreneur. So even before I got into these larger MNCs in India, practicing out of India, the intent was to check in, look at how brands are being sort of dealt with at a national scale. Because Hyderabad, like I said, was not a metro, so a lot of the decision makers on any of the brands that we see or we use at home are were not sitting out of Hyderabad.
Mm.
Even today, they don't sit out of Hyderabad. So
Yeah.
the intent was get into the big cities, the bigger agencies, learn how things are managed at a national scale, design that back at home because my first stint at JWT was in Hyderabad. So
Okay.
that gave me a sense of what is the local Hyderabad market and what kind of national work comes to Hyderabad,
Yeah.
right? So then going to Mumbai for stints at Leo Burnett and Ogilvy, that helped me understand how we can bring the national work to South India and where is the gap, right? With respect to how even Hyderabad was practicing advertising, right? So the switch was, let's say, it was always at the back of the mind. It was actually the design. Did it happen a little earlier than I had expected? Yes. For some family reasons, I had to start in 2013. But I think that's just it turned out just fine because I'm happy that I started early.
Yeah.
And when you start your entrepreneurship journey early, by the time you have the worldview as to how you can disrupt your space, by then you at least have some steady cash flows, decent understanding of the market, and you know what's available locally in terms of talent, what you need to find from outside. So that when all of these things are getting sorted, and then you shape your perspective as to where to work for growth, right? That can only happen if you start early. So I'm lucky that, in hindsight, that I started early, even though I'd have liked to spend a few more years in Mumbai before I switched back to Hyderabad.
Yeah. So now, when things are going very well, when things are like sorted for pad and you're running a great show, then you're making the next pivot into HotCult. You've already made it and you're seeing the early signs of success already in this creative house. And you're also taking a differentiated position of representing the South. That's a jump. That's the next pivot for you, right? So what
Yes.
made you think? And in all these moves, I think you're ahead of your times and you're like leading the show in the sector that you've chosen. So what makes you think like this when things are going well for us? Changing and taking the next step is very, very scary move, right? So what makes you choose these adventures?
That's a very, very, very sharp question, and I have I mean, again, part of it is hindsight, part of it is present. So I'll try to sort of give you very, very accurate pointers here as to what happened. So to be honest with you, we were very lucky with Hyderabad. We had a great bunch of people working with us right from the start. The good thing that we did, me and my co-founders, was we were able to pull in the right talent to service Hyderabad because Hyderabad has price barriers, the work we do in Hyderabad. So they say nobody pays for ideas, right? They pay for execution, right? Nobody pays for strategy. They pay for execution. What are the deliverables, right? So
True.
what we realize is Hyderabad is going to continue to be that kind of a market for a period of time, which means we required pace, to turn around as many cycles in a month. And we required people who are like-minded in terms of culturally in the same life stage, have been from similar kind of backgrounds, consume similar kind of culture and are passionate for advertising. So I would say the first 5, 6, 7 years until COVID for PAD had a lot to do with the momentum we had built early on in year one, year two of bringing on the right people, right? But yeah, I mean, by the fifth, sixth year, we were already stuck. We were stuck with multiple problems. So let's say we entered COVID already with big dreams, but we had to pause those because we wanted to shift then, but we had to pause it. And I think it was a good pause because a lot has happened in the shadows, right? So it was a very good pause. But yeah, by the sixth year, 2019, 2020, we were already seventh year, we were already stuck in the sense we were not interested in doing work that was coming out of smaller establishments in Hyderabad. Rather, we were focusing on deeper categories, larger volumes of people or audiences that our work reaches, right? So we were looking at bigger consumption markets and bigger consumption categories, and by virtue of that, companies, right, or organizations. So the switch started in 2016-17 when we hit Bangalore, then we hit Mumbai. But there was always a problem when we set up shop in Bangalore and Mumbai that I was one of the 500 shops without a narrative, without a purpose, right? Every city had more than 500, I would say 1,000 shops, right? Yes, there's a common joke. You pick up a pebble on the street and throw
Funny.
it in any direction, it'll hit a window of an agency in Mumbai,
Agency.
Bangalore, Delhi, right? So the thing is that how do we then tell a story? And that story didn't come to us until we had to take a forced pause during COVID. So COVID was the transitionary time where a lot of work, I think marketers across national markets had and large and different consumer consumption categories. I think they had time. So they
Mm.
sat back and they're doing their share of voice study, their ROI on South, were they able to meet their objectives or not? And I think a lot of work for Telugu started trickling in from Dabur, Paytm, a bunch of brands for different categories, toothpaste, food and beverage like honey, and Paytm was P2P transfers, etc. So that was early signs that this is a hot market. These folks don't know how to solve for their problems in the South because unfortunately today there's no linear media solution to advertising.
Yeah.
To the advertising world has changed. It's very non-linear sort of solutions, right? So earlier you do print, outdoor, television, it's a ladder, right? How big a brand are you? What's your footprint? By virtue of that, there was a way to go. But now
Yeah.
media is so, let's just say it's so evolved, for lack of a better word. I don't want to sort of call it anything else. It's human advancement and media has evolved. So now, when how to reach a customer is in the palm of the hand of the audience, then I think there is no linear media pattern, right? And advertising basically rides on the back of available media, right? So then we realized that there is an option for us to sort of tell a new story, which I think immediately out of COVID we started speaking about, right? So 2021 is when I started piloting this. By 2022, it became a thesis. By 2023, it was put into action. 2023 and 2024, we tried with some good people out in Mumbai, but I think there was multiple dimensions why it didn't take off. And then 2024, I moved to Mumbai. And I think from then to now, I think it's a up and running business and not just an idea,
Absolutely.
right? So
Absolutely.
it looks like fundamentally the challenge that I'm able to see is one differentiation achieved, right? Which is we're disrupting through a market that we are servicing that is underserviced, right? That is
Yeah.
one. Two,
Yeah.
timing. So I think this last post-COVID media in India or globally, but I'm closer to my observations are better on India. But media in India has started really sort of pivoting and the moves have been fast, right? So I think at this point of time, audiences have understood that brands will find them no matter what their format of consumption is. And brands have understood that they need to closely watch what the audience is consuming consciously and what the audience is consuming subconsciously. Somewhere in between lies the space for the brand to weave a narrative, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So then we realized that with all these data points available from these big tech media platforms, how can we make smaller sets of data points and map culture hyper locally and then seed the storytelling into it, right? So I think that is the timing also is good because the market is sensitive. Market wants smaller, smarter hacks, rather than going with large format print television outdoor and backing those numbers. They're looking at innovation using media and idea, right? So I think that is where timing I fell into place beautifully for us. So yeah, like I said, again, this is a lot in hindsight. So the picture, I'm able to tell you a very clean version of the
Clean
picture.
picture.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
if you get
Yeah.
into where we are today, I think there's still a lot of work to be done at our end. The clients have been warm and receptive all over Delhi, Mumbai, Bangalore, but I think there's a lot of depth, lot of hacking, a lot of. So we now do three core pieces. writing,
Right.
production, and distribution. So our writing is basically brand strategy, consumer insights converted into ideas. Then we have production, which is whatever the ideas have suggested or writing has suggested, in terms of a path to reach this consumer and persuade this consumer. We use production to sort of solve for all these media touch points and we build assets. And then we have distribution where we have ROI conversations where we do cost per view, cost per click, cost per, so basically this is how we operate, and I think we are over the years have great depth with writing, both the strategy and the ideas. But we are now learning a lot in terms of how there is, like I said, there's no linear way, so we can start a campaign in the YouTube comments of a show, right? I'm just saying, so a
True.
campaign can take off from there. Someone gets tagged,
From
someone
the
else gets
comments.
tagged, and then it becomes a campaign, right? So I'm just saying there
Absolutely.
is no linear way to do this. So we are learning how we can do it smarter for brands. We don't always have to make films. Memes can become campaigns, So there's a lot that can be done if we learn deeper and structure the media math and media strategy better. So I think our depth with writing and production is pretty solid, but with distribution, we are building partnerships and also building depth, right? In terms of how what we can take to brand managers. So
Right.
there's a lot of work that's currently happening, and needless to say, we are found lacking in some department or the other. But I think that's the path to growth, right? You
That's
stumble, you
fun.
grow, you stumble, you grow, and
Yeah.
that's how I take it. And that's
Yeah.
fundamentally a change in entrepreneurship worldview that nothing is a failure, everything is feedback, right? So
Feedback. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
There are so many questions I want to ask you about this, but I'll start off with some commentary. See, what I see as Panchayat, as Mirai coming up, as Sundarkand coming up, are just the tip of the iceberg. The whole iceberg is actually started off in 2013 in the form of advertising, and then 2017 18 and 2018 19, your COVID time work. So all of this has culminated into a success of a Panchayat or a Mirai coming out, right, from this production house. It is so interesting. What made you pick some of these subjects? What is your
So
inspiration? What's
I'll
your creative thinking that goes behind it?
Yes, circle back to 2021. So I'll just take you through differentiation into two entities that have built both do creative work, but the long format, which is your web series and your films, theatrical films entity, it's called Amusement Park Entertainment, and HotCult is the brand services company. So this is the IP company, Amusement Park Entertainment, and HotCult is the company that does services, right? So
Services.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So now, like I said, 2021 was the start of my foray into entertainment. And to be honest with you today, that has a major role to play in the hot cult coming alive and coming to where it has come today, right? So 2021, we had just launched AHA, an OTT app in Telugu only languages for
Yeah.
the Telugu audiences, and we saw a great growth curve with AHA. That's when I realized hyperlocal has massive depth and scale, right? And
Right.
it basically needs customized solving for us to be able to win the hyperlocal journey. And honestly, the long format, which is Sivarapalli, the remake of Panchayat,
Gotcha.
the adaptation of Panchayat in Telugu, and Sundarakanda and Mirai. So I think all of these happened because we started with selling to web series worlds to AHA itself, right? And that gave us the confidence that long format writing is something that I can curate and build around, so that we are able to build a writing team that can write these larger formats. So there's a grammar to writing larger formats. The 20th minute, the 45th minute, the inciting incident, the halftime, so
Yeah.
everything. It's basically you're basically engaging the audience, and there's patterns to engagement, right? So writing the formats is also tough. So we realize that we have the creative understanding of writing these formats. That is when we got into entertainment full scale. So before this, we have two shows with AHA, Nuisance and Sandstorm, which we just wrote and delivered. We never actually produced this content, right? We just wrote and delivered it. But currently now, we are writing, producing most of this long format content. So, and now we also work with platforms, right? So, Amazon Prime, Netflix.
Yeah.
So, we also work with AHA and ETV Win locally, Sun Next in the Tamil market. So, what we learned is that in order to write for these formats, you also need to write with people that are commissioning these formats, right? Because eventually, what are we writing for? If we are not going to make something out of it, right? So we
Absolutely.
realize that this is partly services and partly IP, right?
IP.
So the services experience sort of helped us
Build
navigate,
it on.
this end of it, which also brought us some differentiation in the market because, all the people from Telugu land are very cinema crazy, right? Like theatrical first kind of
Absolutely.
content crazy. But I would say the web services, like web series market, is also underserviced, right? From a language perspective, South Indian language perspective. So I think
Yeah.
there it helped, and all of this is basically, I would say, intent was to try and figure if there is a longer format that we can build out as a
Yeah.
creative house. And we realized that we require different kind of creative professionals to run it. That is why the brand amusement park came into being. But why I was saying all of this was relevant for me to bring Hot Cult together is because today what we are doing at Hot Cult is a lot of shows for brands. So we just finished a show for an alcobev company.
Yeah.
Now we are doing a show for a leading national detergent slash home cleaning kind of a brand, which is in Telugu and Tamil, which is a talk show. And we are doing a fiction show in Tamil for a large telecom operator of India, and that is again like a full-fledged vertical format, 3 minutes per episode, 15 episodes, fiction show with a leading comedian in Telugu, in Tamil, right? So I'm saying all of that experience of long format today,
It is helpful.
brands and platforms are going after the same consumer. I'm digressing a bit, but I'll just help you understand how that amusement park experience and the theatrical films that are releasing this month and next month, how all of that has helped us come to a greater service model at a sharper service model at Hot Cult as well. So
Yeah.
basically, what's happened today is brands and platforms. When I say platforms, all the media touch points that we all are using every
Looking
day.
at, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. They're all going after the same audience. They're going after a audience that is upwardly mobile, aspiring for growth. Okay, because what's happened with India, and I think there's a lot of dissections and segmentation in India of audiences and consumption. But I would say I believe in the India 1 2 3, where India 1 is so premium that there's very little commerce around them, and most of it is with international brands, right? And India 2 is where is broken into two halves, one that is trying to shift gears and one that has already shifted gears mentally, where their disposable income is largely parked for optics and learning, right? When you optics is drives consumption, right? When people want to take care of their optics, they consume. They go up the consumption ladder in any category. And second, I think it's also driven by their aspiration that they want to be at a certain place by a certain time in life, and that requires them to take some calls on multiple aspects of life where consumption is a byproduct, right? And when they take these calls, they start growing up categories. So one simple example for you, and I'll take a male example because it's easier for me, but I mean, you can draw parallels to this. So the India 3 probably was wearing Lux Cozy or Allen Solly. Today they are dropped to brands that are available off Meesho, right? Which is at a much lower price, maybe 50% of
Absolutely.
what they were paying 10 years ago for a shirt, right?
Yeah.
So you can see India 3 is living off government pensions and government schemes, right? And they're moving down the brand ladder,
Um,
right?
mm,
Whereas a guy, say in a corporate job, 10 years of experience, has come through and through from, a small town India, but has reached a point where he owns a couple of Van Heusen or Louis Philippe shirts, because those were his big meeting shirts. But now they become his everyday shirts because he just got promoted and he's meeting people at a higher rung. So he buys another two international brands and he keeps them because for those meetings he wants to wear those shirts. So same is the case with someone subscribing to a channel on YouTube because they want to learn and grow. Someone want seeking differentiation in content. So you know that Netflix serves a certain audience, Hotstar serves a certain audience. So all of these people have realized post-COVID that going after the masses in India, because online consumption grew in COVID, everyone chased numbers, right? When they chase numbers, they realize these numbers are hard to sustain because they will never convert into subscribers. It's going to take two, three more Modi terms and Achhe Din for us to become, for these people to move up the ladder and subscribe. So today the platforms also have realized we have to wait for 3, 4 years for these family plans to become nuclear plans, or for another economy, like, economic churn to happen where certain more people come into our consumption bracket and they can pay for these services for us to run a sustainable model,
Yeah.
right? So making mass content for mass audiences wasn't really helping,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
So we are now in a space where long format entertainment in the mass context, okay, branded content. Like I said, I'm doing shows for brands. All of this has made us understand a sweet spot,
Yeah.
okay, and the spot is to build content which takes care of the needs of this consumer. Say they want to go through astrology, say they want to go through financial advice,
Financial
say they
advice.
want to go through banking and how to work their way around banking, say they want to go through assets and investments conversations, say they want to go through cooking conversations, say they want to go through, see, every aspect of life they are seeking edutainment. Right. So my intent is to be able to provide that as HotCult, and that's what we're rallying around because we see brands also wanting that audience. We see platforms also wanting that audience. So now solving
I
for what needs to be the mix of content or sort of campaign strategy
storytelling.
has become way easier for us thanks
Yeah.
to exposures of long format and branded content. Right.
Yeah.
So which
Yeah.
is commissioned, and neither places I own the IP because even in long format, I sell it to a Hotstar, I sell it to
Sure.
to a Z for satellite for television. I sell it to theatrical regions for them to release in those regions, and they do the print and publicity cost on that. So theatrical distributors buy it. So I'm basically breaking my IP into small pieces and selling it away. Whereas I think the long-term plays for people who understand South like the way we are starting to understand it, and build for these audiences of the South and own their IPs, then they can monetize on both ends. We can license two platforms, we can generate revenues from brands. So this show is sponsored by or presented by, or just a subtle integration, someone just flips a something and a brand logo is visible. So I'm saying we can do it any which way you want, right? The
Yeah.
idea is to make the right content for the right audience, the audience that everyone in India is going after, and dimensionalize that further, saying we are going after this audience in the South.
Yeah.
And when I say
And
South, we say it very casually,
yes,
but South is 5 states, four
huge.
market, four language speaking markets, many, many dialects, many, many ways of, sort of families running, patriarchal, matriarchal, the role of the
Absolutely.
woman, everything changes, right? South is
Yes.
is vibrant and diverse. So for me,
Yeah,
South
very
itself
diverse.
is so much to conquer, right? If I look at the possibilities. So yeah, that's the long story.
Yeah. What we have learned in Anne's journey is we celebrate small successes, okay? Because the bigger milestones only can be celebrated in retrospection. You can't celebrate them as you go along. The journey is as beautiful as the end goal, and we should celebrate all of it. And as it happens, as it unfolds, it's fine for us. Like you rightly pointed out earlier in the conversation, we value stumbling blocks more than successes because there is something to learn and take away from it. With that, I just want to dial down on something that very interestingly that you said in two of your responses, and this is also something we had a ringside view about, right? So we watch you in action. We have the benefit of watching you in action, and what we have seen is that you are very good at building teams. You identified us, for example, you identified us and onboarded us for your implementation planning. And similarly, you have hired and built a lot of team quite ahead of its time. And you've been right at figuring out the scoping of their work. You've been right at picking the right people. What goes into your team planning? It will be quite useful for the audience to learn a bit from this, from you.
So this, I think, is a landmine, right? So you don't know along the way whether
Yeah,
it's going to be
work
a
or not.
easy path, or it's just going to blow up in your face, right?
Yeah,
But I say this is the most important part of the business, right? I
Business.
feel
Yeah.
I feel execution eats strategy or vision for breakfast, right? So
Yeah.
you cannot execute without a team. And I would say, honestly, I have been lucky that I found great people and learned so much from them. I just want to put that out there first. I also want to let you know that when you're running a business or multiple businesses, there's a lot of room for you to sort of read patterns without data and get influenced, because there are stakeholders sitting in multiple areas of expertise in your organization, right? Your teammates are stakeholders. And I think what I've realized about leadership is, one, how to find them. I think first of all, you should know and keep articulating for yourself what you're looking for,
Yeah.
right? And I think what the trap that we don't realize as entrepreneurs is, this thing keeps evolving in our head, right? By the time we have written or taken the pain to write what it is we want,
Mm. Yeah.
what we wanted to write and what we ended up writing would have
Changed.
changed. Right. So what I'm trying to say is, as an entrepreneur, I think, and as a founder, right, today, because also, honestly, I think this has a lot to do with how dynamic a world we are sitting in
World
today.
is.
We need to respect that VUCA flavor
Yeah.
of the world, right? So
World.
I think I am fully in submission to it, and I just want to work around its contours, right?
Yes.
So then the most important thing is that we have to articulate more often what we're looking for. And B, I think uh, it helps to ask a lot of questions with random people, because I think a lot of these conversions have happened from random people that were not really looking for a role, or sometimes I realize that when people walk to your door, right, they're coming as a part of a process where they're also interviewing with 10 other people, right? But when random conversations strike up an energy, right? I think 50% of the people, 70% of the people I have picked are people that I have worked with in some capacity, either as a customer or as a vendor or a partner, or just ran into someone somewhere in some event, right? So I feel a lot of it comes from articulating. That is how you're going to find your people. You have to sit down and say, what do I need? If you can make that an every Saturday exercise as a founder, you will be in a good place invariably, because not only are you working with how the world is moving and making the effort to document it and sort of pen it in for yourself, you're also acting on it real time,
Yeah.
right? So
Correct.
I think I would also take a step back and say, I am a great finder of people and finder of purpose for an organization or a team, but I am not the best at running layer by layer execution, because as a founder, you're always worried about finishing this off today,
Yeah.
while you can step into tomorrow and you don't even know what the problems of tomorrow are, but your intent is always urgency, because you want to get done with what's on your plate. But not everybody works from the same mindset. So then when you're executing, you need to give them that time, right? Which I'm learning cyclically. That's something I need to control and sort of improve about myself, that your pace and their pace need not be the same,
Same.
though the momentum states can be different. But you need to one of my colleagues, Rupa, told me about this. You can basically exit all of this and stay flexible on the details and firm on the vision, right? So when you get the right people, then so my problem has been getting the
Stay
right
with the
people wasn't a
execution.
problem, but staying away from execution. So making sure there's different kinds of momentum states that move, to build organizations. So stay focused on the vision, right? So I would say, yeah. So to answer your question, 3 points. One, articulate what you want. So you will run into, as a founder, you're already seeking. So you are going to run into opportunities, right? Or whatever is coming through your HR team, whatever is coming to your door, you will know how to filter
Know
faster,
how to
right?
filter.
Yeah, yeah. Two, focus on physics of it, which is your momentum layers, the leadership layer, the mid level, the lower layers. Try to understand their momentum states and help them improve marginally, rather than sort of try to work your style everywhere. So this is the second piece. And the third piece I would feel is, don't lose people because business will come back,
Yeah.
right? So even if you have to part with someone, I have had multiple stories of my colleagues becoming entrepreneurs, and today they're all helping me fuel Hot Cult's vision, right? So it is so
It will
beautiful
come
that
back
I'm able
again.
to, yes, yes, it's all going to come back, and it's going to help you. So never sort of lose relationships with people that you deeply value, because they are going to go out there and do something great in the world, and that also is very selfish, right? In the sense, you know that you want to grow. By virtue of that, you want to keep people that want to grow with you,
Yeah.
right? And check in on them. So it, and also, actually, if you take out all the angles of it, honestly, I have a great time chatting with these people because we have a past, we have a
Yes,
present, and
they're
we all are,
friends.
and
Yeah.
we're all worried about our future, right?
Yes.
So the life stages are very, very similar. So it's
Very
fun.
similar.
It's fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You've been a cricketer all your life. Very early on, you mentioned about your growing up years and how you gave a lot of importance to the sport and how you did well. So, what about cricket, a team game at it, had some shaping up of you, this approach towards people, teams, and the whole,
So,
the friendships that
so
you form?
we have a domestic joke running in our family that if you play a team sport, you build a business.
Yeah.
If you play an individual sport, you become like, an independent,
A
star. Like,
researcher.
no, I'm just saying, no, you can
Individual
go all
star.
the way, but you'll have to build it in a different style, right?
Different style. Hmm.
So I'm lucky I weaned off of tennis by the time I was 10. And for the simple reason that cricket was more popular, nobody used to come watch my tennis matches anywhere in Hyderabad. But in the on the cricket field in school, I used to see the cricket team being backed by the entire school, right? So I think I switched to cricket because I felt it's a more popular game, and it was a very good choice at the age of 10 or 9, because I had to go to my parents and say, I want to play cricket. I don't want to play tennis, right? So switching to cricket was a superb move because one, uh, I like working as a pack. I like feeding off people's energy, and cricket is all about, it's more strategy than skill. Because after a point I think at the world class level, all of them are very skillful.
Very good. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So then what are they doing? They're basically outpacing each other on strategy, right? And they're responding to what's happening on field in micro strategies better, right?
Yes.
So I
Yeah.
feel in team games, not only are you playing weather conditions, not only are you playing who's the bigger
Opponent.
favorite,
Yeah.
yeah, not only are you playing the bigger player on field, not only are you playing the umpire's mood, not only are you playing the bowler that is already warming up, waiting for you to call him to bowl, but but you're not looking at him, and you're looking somewhere else and calling that guy and moving as if you didn't see that bowler warming up. So not only are playing the outside and the super force majeure and acts of God dimensions, you're also playing
A
a
lot of
lot of internal
emotions
in
within.
emotions, and who is going to bat where in the order, why did the captain choose. So I'm lucky that by the time I was 12, 13, I was leading teams, and that gave me a sense of just building momentum with packs, right? And so yeah, playing with a lot. So I also have a lot of mentors along the way, a lot of great coaches, great seniors, great bosses at Ogilvy, JWT, and Burnett, great clients. I've learned how to build from a lot of my enterprise and legacy clients, right? So, a great clients, and needless to say, great colleagues. So, I think this entire picture is just me finding space with these great people at the right time to enrich myself and find my path, right? Nothing, I was not born with any of this. I'm so happy that cricket happened and it was a team sport, and I had to go through all this pressure every day as a kid. So it's not about you going and training hours, right? It's not only about that. It's about so many other things that you need to think of, right? Which you start doing. I think another nice part I like about sport in general is whether you win or lose, you're back training the next morning.
Beautiful insights. I'm taking it back today. I just want to leave some thoughts for the audience here. Having the very close up view of the whole entertainment industry, What are some of the spaces you think new entrepreneurs, upcoming entrepreneurs can work on, look at, evaluate for themselves? What is your insight into this?
So I think
And what?
entertainment also is a dimension of media because finally you need infrastructure. You either
Mm,
need data and a device, or you need
mm,
a theater, or you need to go to a place where a play is being conducted, or you need. So I'm saying all of these are dependent on some sort of infrastructure. So if you can find your slot, and I would say underserviced slot, which is looking at headwinds, that there are headwinds coming. Not headwinds, winds that propel you ahead. So there's a wind beneath your wings, and it's emerging in the category or in that niche. I think that is a good place for today creative and media businesses to start, because gone are the days where you can make a Sun Network or you can make a Star India.
true.
Gone are the days, because even Star today has folded into a Geo, whatever may be the strategic reasons. But I feel a data player has bought a media company, right? And a large, the largest media company. So I'm just trying to say, before we start, let's put ourselves in a reasonably favorable position to win, right? And also, while at it, whatever is your thesis that you're comfortable with, start with it. Right. So what
Correct.
happens
Play
is,
on
if
your
you're,
strengths.
if you're over intellectualizing where to go and not knocking doors and getting doors slammed on your face, or getting rejection or no as an answer, you are not pushed out of your comfort enough to start thinking, was my hypothesis right or wrong? So when you reach at something that you feel is a reasonable hypothesis, then you start acting on it. Right? And if you don't, and actually, real growth happens when you start acting on hypotheses rather than deliberating on them for a very long time. Right? So the growth is much faster when you start acting on the hypothesis.
Thank you so much, Gautam. Thank you for being on our side and also building along with us. It's lovely journey. Look forward
Pleasure's
to
mine. I'm
more
grateful. Thank you so
conversations.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Bye, Saujanya.
Bye
See you.
bye.